Hello and welcome to the Parenting Tools podcast with me, Jason.
And I'm Jordan. This is the podcast where myself and Jason talk about what's gone on in the last...
What's gone on?
What's happened.
I can't tell you.
In our lives as parents and dads. Sounded like a question. Well, Jace, every now and again I start off a little bit fuming.
Bit of fumes.
And I am fuming.
You're fuming?
I'm fuming.
Oh, I love that.
So today, I was judged. Prejudged.
Oh.
I went to, I'm not going to shame anyone, but I went to a hardware store, DIY store.
Oh, of the many in the UK.
Yep. Not the one you're all thinking of.
Oh, which one am I thinking of?
The big one. The big orange one. It wasn't B&Q. I went to a different one. And I went there for wallpaper paste.
Nice.
So I knew what I was looking for. Not a particularly specialist item. And do you know when they've got like the big words in shops that like above the signs that tell you what everything is? I'm looking and I'm seeing painting, I'm seeing electrical, I'm seeing timber, all that kind of stuff, but nothing like decorating outside of painting.
Yeah.
So I went to the paint stuff. Of course it wasn't there. I knew it wouldn't be there. So I went to the desk, said, "Excuse me, have you got wallpaper paste?"
And she said, "What is this, 1925?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who wallpapers?
Exactly.
I just want to say, it's lining, so I'm going to paint over it. I'm not wallpapering because I'm not old. And so, guy said, "Yeah, it's over here." So as he was taking me over, I looked up. There was no sign.
Yeah.
There was no floating word. So I felt justified. So I picked up my wallpaper paste, took it to the cashier desk, and he went to me, "First time papering?" And I just thought, what about my appearance makes you think I've not done papering before?
Have you done papering before?
No. So, he was bang on. I was seen. But still, I just thought, I do DIY.
Honestly, I don't know enough about wallpapering to know what tools you would need to carry into that place.
He must have looked at my tiny child fingers and gone, that guy has not done a day of work in his life. It was lady hands.
Those hands are too small to wallpaper in.
Yeah, they've never lifted a trowel. So yeah, he was bang on, but I felt very judged.
It's the worst when like you're going around the shop or going around Aldi specifically.
Love Aldi.
I often take my daughter to Aldi, and all the looks you get from old women.
Yeah.
Going, "Oh, you're doing well as a dad." I'm like, "Of course I am." Yeah.
She's dressed.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan, I've had a stinker this week.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolute stinker.
In what sense?
Noah's had the Rodneys, the Derricks.
Yeah.
She's had the Rodneys and Derricks at the other end.
Oh, it's been the full Trotter family.
Yeah, all of them.
Uncle Albert's there as
they've
well.
all come round. It's extended family. Thursday night, Noah's very unwell.
Oh no!
You don't get a lot of sleep when your kids are
What
unwell.
day is it?
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
And she's been unwell the whole time. So we went to the doctors on Friday. She was still ill on Sunday, and they said if it gets worse, go to A&E. And so we ended up in A&E on Sunday night, and she's still not well. However, she's in the stage where she's just really tired. And so today, my wife discovered that you can put headphones on a toddler.
Yep.
Yeah, with a laptop.
You never done that in the car, or?
No, and I now think how foolish we were.
Yeah.
We have found a great tip. Headphones on, iPad or laptop, and you just get peace. We started watching Ted Lasso while she was watching Cocomelon.
How long for?
That was about half an episode.
Yeah? Okay.
It's like
a responsible
20 minutes.
amount, yeah.
It was far too much than we should have done.
We got through a whole series. It was great.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one for travelling.
Headphones in the back of the car.
Headphones in the back of the car.
That's a great shout.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was so before I did my wallpapering. I say, okay, this isn't going to help me. Before I asked my dad to come round and do the wallpapering.
So that person at that DIY shop was indeed.
Oh mate, he was bang on. Do you know what? He was spot on. And I was sanding down the walls, and it got to a point where I just thought, I can't be bothered. So I got my electric sander out, and our son showed up at the door for the bathroom
Yeah.
with headphones on. And he went, this is after I finished, he went, Daddy, thank you for stopping making that really loud noise. I had to get my headphones out. It wasn't plugged into anything. He was just swinging the cord. So he just sat there, ear defenders, yeah. He'd had enough.
Oh, George, we've had a message on the hair saga.
Oh, it's a good one.
Listener, cast your mind back to, was it last episode?
Yeah.
Well, we had a message from an auntie. An auntie.
Gosh.
Auntie.
You're northern now. Auntie Whit.
What was the message?
So Whitney commented on TikTok saying that her niece liked twiddling her mum's hair so much that they gave her a piece of hair extension to go sleep with. We asked the question, what was it made of?
Yeah. And we've had a message from, this is the mum.
The mum has been on.
Or may I rephrase, the mom.
The mom.
M-O-M. I just can't believe that this saga is extended. It's mom of the hair-loving kid
see
here.
What you've done there. Extended. Come on.
I didn't even mean to. Look at that. It's just natural.
You've done it again.
Mum of the hair-loving kid here. It was human hair.
Human hair.
That makes it creepier.
A little bit.
That's a...
Who's human? Which one? Someone else.
Let's just put, when your kid is ripping your hair out at night, you got to do what you got to do.
I agree.
So has she taken somebody else's real hair?
Yeah. Well, I don't think forcefully.
While they're sleeping.
So, thank you, Olivia. That's the mom.
That's the clarification that honestly I didn't need.
Yeah. I still want clarification though. Do Claire sell fake tattoos?
Can we get Claire on?
Yeah. Is she alive? How old is the business?
Claire's Accessories, owned by Tony.
Yeah. You know it's a bloke.
John, I want to give you a quick update.
Please do.
On pajama time.
Yeah?
I think a few weeks ago I mentioned that I've been tricking my child into getting dressed.
With the like fake...
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was going strong. It was going really strong. My daughter doesn't like to put clothes on after the bath. She wants to stay in naked time and dance the night away. However, I then started saying, do you know what? Pretending to put her clothes on, like her trousers on my head. Going, is this how it works, Noah? And she hates incompetence.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, no, Daddy, this is how you put your trousers on. And she'd get dressed. Until the other night.
Oh, gosh.
I went to do it. And, no, is this how you put your trousers on? And she looked at me and she smiled and just went, yeah.
Called you bluff.
She called my bluff.
So what did you do?
I had nothing else to do. I sat there with trousers on my head. Hoping that she would just like the incredulity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
She eventually got dressed.
Yeah. When she was freezing. 2 a.m.
But
funny.
But I've kind of evolved now into, can you show me how this works? And that's working at the moment. And she's going, silly daddy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So is that a one-time thing or is...
It's worked so far for a few nights.
Yeah.
But I think the game's going to be up soon. I'm going to need some better tactics to get my daughter dressed.
Yeah. Well, do you know how we had like a few days of warm weather recently? My little boy wanted to wear shorts, like short pajamas, shorts and t-shirts to bed. We were like, no, come on, it's going to be cold. No, I'm okay. Because it was warm. It was
warm.
Middle of the night, he wakes up. I want different pajamas on. Like, I told you you'd be too cold. Use my wisdom.
Use my wisdom.
A thing happened to me today. I've just thought of this.
Uh-huh.
Which sums up parenting. Do you know when we say like kids do like the worst things, which is just really annoying, but they don't know what they're doing. So my 1.5-year-old, our son was in the bath this morning because he went to bed a bit later last night. We were out, so he skipped bath time. So he was in the bath this morning. I said, right, you have a bath. When you're done, I'll have a shower. So I walk in with a towel for me, place that on the toilet seat. I have a towel for him. I said, right, jump up. And he did. As I'm picking him up out of the bath, I see the towel that I'd put on the toilet seat.
Yeah.
Just fall into the bath. It's out the corner of my eye. I'm thinking, I didn't think it was a towel. I'm thinking, what's this? I look and my 1-year-old is there.
Oh, that's brilliant.
She's just thrown the towel in the bath. And I'm just like, I was fuming. I was like, why? Why have you done that? Like, what in your mind thinks...
Towels dry things that'll dry out the bath.
But
could be.
yeah, this thing needs to be in there.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand it at all. So I let myself down.
Oh, no.
I told her to go away.
Oh, no.
And do you know what she did? She just went away.
Oh.
Which was worse. Worse than her putting up a fight. She just looked at me and turned round. And I was just like, oh, I didn't mean it. Come back. I was like Rose at the end of Titanic. She's like, come back. I just wanted to come back. So yeah, that was oh man. So I had to get a different towel and pain.
Man, not what you want.
I had to dry myself with a hand towel. Because
We've all been there.
Anything I could reach.
We've all been there. The flannel one's a bit more demoralising. Oh, John, we've got an incredible guest for today's episode.
I enjoyed this so much.
Really enjoyed this. We have Mark Ritchie. Really enjoyed this. Let's crack on.
Let's jump in. So welcome to the podcast, Mark. Mark, thank you for coming.
Great to be here.
Great.
Yes, that's my Scottish accent. I mean, I've literally been talking for 2 seconds and he's straight in. Wow, it's going to be a long night.
Straight into insulting the guest.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, Mark, for the listeners, can you tell us who you are and what have you got?
What have I got? Well, yeah, that's a great question. So my name's Mark and I'm married to Tamsin. I've got 2 kids. But they're a little bit grown up now. So I've been listening to your podcast. You sound great, guys. Yeah.
You
sound knackered as well. Both of you. You sound like you definitely do have kids. Yeah. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, he sounds a bit tired today. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's real. This is true. So my kids are a little bit older. And then, yeah. Do you want to know more about what I do and what? Yeah. So I've got a bit of a weird job. I'm basically go around the country doing one-man shows. That's a lot of humor, a lot of comedy, a lot of fun, but also weaving like a message about God. So I do it at the Edinburgh Fringe and I do it lots of other places as well. So it's kind of quite an unusual job. It's very difficult to put in a form. Try and put that in a form.
What do you go for?
Sometimes I just put minister of religion because I just cannot be bothered. I can't be bothered explaining to you what I do as a job.
Amazing. So you've done the Fringe.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's amazing. Is that something that like you kind of grew up like dreaming about? Like...
Yeah. Do you know what? When I was 15, so I come from a place called Musselburgh, which is just outside Edinburgh, and basically I used to go up and see like comedians, and I just heard them ripping like Christianity to shreds, and I heard them like slagging off Jesus and all that stuff. And I just remember as a young lad saying, you know, I'm going to be on that stage one day and I'm going to speak positively about Jesus, and I'm going to kind of like, yeah. So I've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's great. I mean, you get heckled. You can't get heckled on a podcast though, can you?
Well, I started off with one.
Yeah, you did actually.
Straight away.
Straight in. But you know, it's like when you get heckled, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like instant feedback. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're not filling a form in. They're like giving you it straight back. But no, I love it. It's been a great experience. Yeah.
Oh, that's because I mean, imagine as a comedian, like Edinburgh's like the pinnacle of like performing. Then imagine also the nerves. Is that?
Well, the very first time I did it, I remember I was backstage in this little back room, and I was terrified, you know, like, and it's packed, and my dad came and like found me, and I was pacing up and down. I was honestly really nervous, and my dad went, "Son, what's wrong?" And I went, "Oh, Dad, there's loads of people out there and stuff." He went, "Yeah, and they've all paid £5, so you better get funny." That's what he said. So you better get funny. You're just like, "Thanks, Dad. That's thank you. Cheers, mate. Thanks for popping in."
Thanks for the reassurance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A hug? No, not a hug. Just, you better get funny. Thanks. Good.
Is there a particular heckle that has stuck with you?
Oh yeah, one that, like, so you get like abuse, right? You get people shouting out rubbish, and you get people shouting out like slightly funny things. But this summer, somebody at the back just shouted out, "Always put a bit of salt in your pot noodle." That's what he shouted.
It's a bit of a life tip.
I was like, I wasn't even talking about food or pot noodles. Like, okay, he's obviously got that burning inside him. He's just got that message, and it needs to get out there.
He needs people to know about the salt. Maybe he thought he was at the wrong show.
Yeah, maybe he did. He should have been in a cookery show. It's like, oh, no one understands a pot noodle.
Is there any? Have you got any favourite comedians or particular inspirations?
Oh, I totally love Kevin Bridges, Scottish and very funny. He kills me. He's very funny. And then there's a guy that a lot of people that like do comedy really love, a guy called Daniel Kitson. And he's really funny, so you can't get him on YouTube, you can't get him on TV. He's really just about the live show, and he's one of the best storytellers like I've ever heard. So I absolutely love him. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, smashing. And if you're listening and you don't know who Kevin Bridges is, give him a YouTube. He's done a thing about being stabbed for £1.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Or avoiding being stabbed for £1.
Yeah, absolutely hilarious.
Give it a YouTube.
Oh, it's so
superb.
Good.
Superb.
So good.
Oh, Mark, so you've got older kids. What are some of the things that we've got to look forward to?
How old are they?
So yeah, my son's 26. 26. I mean, I'm looking at you guys. Your kids are young, aren't they?
Very young.
Very young. Yeah, I'm loving sleep, by the way. 8 hours. I actually got up this morning and I thought, I've actually slept too much. Do you know what I mean? I swear, you guys are looking at me as if you want to kill me.
You were early coming here, and I thought his kids are grown up.
He's not got kids pulling at his trousers saying, Daddy, don't go.
Look how clean his trousers are.
I didn't know you were checking me out in that way, but thanks. Has he got clean trousers? Oh, he has. His trousers are clean. Great. Yeah. No. So I think one of the things that I would say that is like really funny is, you know, when like the kids are young and they're growing up, they can hurt. Have you ever been hurt by your kid? Like, have you ever been physically hurt? I mean, yours are a little bit too little for that, are they?
We recorded, 3 weeks ago, and I had a swollen lip from the headbutt. Constant headbutting all the time.
So I used to do this thing where my wife did not approve of this, and she is going to listen to this. She's told me she is. So this is bad. I don't know why I'm doing it. But we used to do this thing called Fight Bonanzas, right? Fight Bonanzas. My son, when he was little, he used to love it. He's like, Daddy, Fight Bonanza. And a Fight Bonanza was like having a fight in every single room in the house, right? In the bathroom, in the bedroom, everywhere, in the loft. So it's quite a long commitment. I mean, it's big. When you're on it's like, do you know what I mean? You've got to like carve out some time for this. It's not a 5-minute job. And honestly, one we were doing this Fight Bonanza. We were in the kitchen. He was only little. He's probably like, I don't know, 3 or something. And he absolutely caught me right in the specials. Do you know what I mean? Right in the propers. He really, And it's like I crumpled. I was like down. He really just, like his fist, he just got me. And I couldn't breathe for about 10 minutes. And and then your wife comes in. I don't know if you've had this. Well, it's your own fault. You know what I mean? All that. Yeah.
Quite often.
Yeah. You're going to encourage him.
Have you had any?
What, any injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, Noah's got like talons on her. And so she's just... Yeah, just
good
going
scratch.
for the scratch.
Oh.
And so I wouldn't say it's funny, but it is. My wife ends up getting the worst of it. For some reason, when she turns around, by the back of her neck, just...
wow.
Yeah.
I got woken up I can't complain. My wife got woken up. But I was there, so our little boy at the minute, he's coming into our room at like 5 a.m. He's saying, Mummy, can you come in my bed? And she just went, come in here. So he's between us, but he rolled over, full arm extension, and I just slap on the back of side of her cheek. So I can't complain that it woke me up.
I don't think you should.
That's how she got woken.
I don't think you should be like. Well, that's my sleep broken. Well done.
He slapped me in the face for me. He's flat out. He didn't have a clue he did it.
That's so funny.
Love that.
Noah's coming in our bed at the moment as well. Does yours ever like go horizontally and then just kick and just try to stretch out as much as possible?
Yep.
Using like your tummy to...
Do you remember those days?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you talked about like your kids coming into bed with you. I mean, my son's 26. It's like your son gets into bed. No, Jordan, go to your own bed. We've talked about this.
Wait till the sun comes up. So they're 26 and...
so Kezia's 24, yeah. So
Solid.
Jordan and Kezia. So, I mean, it's just, Kezia just got married like recently. But I was just thinking when I was listening to you guys, I was thinking about when Kezia was little, and I was shaving one morning. And this is just, I know you guys are great at capturing those little moments, that it's just so brilliant. And I listened to some of this stuff, it's so great. And I was shaving, and Kezia came in, dragging the potty in with her into the toilet. And then just sat down, and she's just having a wee chatting away to me. So I'm shaving at the mirror, and I can hear her chatting away and weeing. So as a little joke, I just went, oh, is it raining? Is it raining? I can hear rain. Because, she's having a tinkle. And she just went, "Aye, it'll be thundering in a minute." I was like, wow. The comedy's already golden. It's like, wow. It'll be thundering in a minute. It's like, wow. It's not the rain.
How old was she at this age?
Yeah, I don't know. She was like definitely. I can't even remember. It's
20s.
just little. Yeah, early 20s, 21.
Before she got married. How is that then? Thinking from her potty training to her getting married.
I know. It's like well, that's the thing I'd say is that like there's all these little moments that you just absolutely treasure because you just like it goes by so fast. I mean, right now, you guys, you're hilarious about your kids, and they're funny and very tiring and obviously challenging. But then before you know it, they're grown up, and you're like, oh my goodness! And it's just like taking that moment to just like think, I've got to like value this. I've got to hold this for a moment. You know what I mean? And I wanted to kind of share this story about Kezia because I think sometimes as a dad, like you meet these guys. I've never been fully this guy, but these dads that are like, you kind of always got to show your kids you're always right and you're in charge and you're, and there's an element where, of course, somebody's got to be the adult. We can't just be like...
Bonanza tells me.
Bonanza tells you
It
that I
wasn't
was
you.
very rarely the adult. Yeah. But Kezia, what happened is, so like Jordan was quite a challenging lad, and we had a lot of different stuff with them lads. Yeah, it's the name. Yeah, and but Kezia was just like an absolute sweetheart, like just like very easygoing, easy kid. And when she got like one of our like early report cards, she came home and loads of the kids had like opened them before their parents saw them. But Kezia, she's very like, no, this is for mummy and daddy. So she brings it and she's like, her little face gives us it. And we open it and she's kind of there and you can tell she's a bit nervous. And it's just absolutely brilliant. It's just like everything. She's excellent at everything. And the teachers put, she's a joy to have in the class, all that stuff. And I thought, oh, this is going to be hilarious. So I look at it and yeah. I look at it and in a really angry voice, I go, I have seen your report card and it is absolutely brilliant, right? So in an angry voice, I'm telling her it was brilliant. She's only little, right? So she's looking at me and her head's just spinning. She's like, the voice is angry, but the words are lovely. And then she just bursts into tears and runs upstairs, slams her bedroom door. And I'll just never forget my wife just looking at me and going, fix it. And just that moment of walking up the stairs and thinking, I got that wrong. I got that absolutely and totally wrong. And I like knocked on her door and she's like, you go away, leave me alone. And I'm like, listen, Kezia. I says, Dad got that wrong. And I remember like saying to her, Dad, I says, Kezia, I'm sorry. Dad got that wrong and I'm sorry. And it kind of stopped her in mid-track. And it was like just this really great moment of her realizing, oh, okay. Like it's not just like, oh, the kids always get it wrong and the dad's like this kind of like, or the parents are this kind of like godlike status. It's like, oh no, actually we get it wrong as well. And it's quite a nice thing to have that humility to be able to be like, and my kids have taught me loads of stuff, like, and it's learning from them as well as having the joy of like teaching them. So it's cool.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before, haven't you? Where you said it's not about them thinking that we don't make mistakes, but you want Noah to see that when you do make a mistake, you own it.
Yeah.
And you learn from it.
Yeah.
And then we had like someone go, no, your kids should think you're a superhero.
Yeah.
And we respectfully disagreed.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys. Because, I mean, I understand that. And it is that thing in it, is when you do walk your daughter down the aisle and she's got a new superhero and he's at the bottom of the aisle and you're like, oh my goodness. But, you know, actually the truth is if we want like our kids to continue in like a healthy relationship with us, then we got to like be able to say, listen, I'm a flawed individual. I'm a bit messed up. I get it right. I get it wrong. I'm trying my best. But actually, you know, even though I mess up sometimes, I'm still here. You know what I mean? And and I think that's a massive message. Yeah.
I think it's so difficult, like the balance of parenting, is it, of like trying to like be a provider and make sure they've got everything they need, but also make sure they also have the challenges that shape them and mold them as well. I've got probably a bit of a personal question.
Oh, okay.
If it's too personal, we can cut it out. If you're still listening, it's because I've either forgotten or decided it's not too personal. So I think my job's very similar to yours in that, both in the church kind of realm, like something that we think is like really important to do. And then on the same side, you've got family and home and being a dad and a husband, which is also really important. And we've talked a bit before about like work-life balance. How do you get that right? I find that particularly difficult with my job because, and I imagine like police officers and doctors have the same thing because they've got to show up because people's lives depend on it. And like, there's a bit of that pressure going on in my mind for my job. So I've got to put the extra work in. And, you know, sometimes I work late or I have to travel. But then on the other side, my work also has to sacrifice for my family. So I could be a good dad and be present, all that sort of thing. Is there anything that you've learned kind of along that journey of holding up the balance of being a good dad in the sense of being present, but also in that kind of teaching, learning moment of some things do require sacrifice? Have you picked up any tips along the way?
It's a really great question. And it's just that word of balance, isn't it? Is like, because there are times when it is out of balance. And I think you've just got to be able to accept that. And you've just got to be able to say, do you know what? We're never going to have, you know, every single day is not going to be a perfect kind of template of like enough time with your kids and enough time at your work. There are going to be times where it's going to kind of like sort of kind of ebb and flow. But I think it's good. I think like my kids understood that what I was doing was valuable. They sort of understood that like they owned a little bit of that and they were like, oh no, like we know what dad's doing is a good thing and it's helping people. And so that was really, really great. But also it's that thing of just like saying, in your own head, sometimes you've just got to kind of say, I'm not going to people please here. I am going to actually just go home and just be dad to my kids. I'm not going to like try and like make people happy. I'm just going to say, do you know what? You know, and so I think it is continue in your head, just having those moments of saying, sometimes you just got to make the bold choice of just saying, nah, do you know what? I need to be, like a few years ago. So summers were like crazy for me. And I used to get like nearly a load of my work came in the summer. And I did like 8 weeks away from home. You know, like my family would come and join me on some of it, but there was a lot away from home. And then I just had 1 year where like I thought, nah, do you know what? I am not going to do any away this summer. I'm going to go to France with my kids and my wife. And basically, when I told my wife, I mean, that's a bit of a moment, and this is something for you to think about. I said, listen, Tamsin, next year, we're going to go to France for the whole summer, and I'm not going to take any work on, and we're just going to like swim in rivers with the kids. We're just going to like be on beaches. We're just going to have fun. She just totally burst into tears. And I did not see that coming. And she was just like, you have no idea what that means to me. And I would never have thought that she didn't resent any of it. She wasn't giving any signs that she was a bit near breaking point. But I just think kind of like subconsciously all the time she was thinking, oh, Mark's job is very important to him. And then when I suddenly had that moment where I said, my job is important to me, but you know what? You're even more important. It was this moment of like, wow. And we just had the most incredible, and people, I had critics on it because I had people say to me, you're turning down a lot of money. You're really going to suffer for that. And you know what? We never never suffered. And you know what? I would say to you, there are times when you've just got to say, nah, actually the family does come first, and I really I'm gonna. Maybe it will upset a few people, because I did have critics on that one. People were like, this is a bad idea. You're saying no to 8 weeks of work. And I was like, yeah, I am. And it's a lot of money. And then but I'm so glad I did. Because we've still now got like memories of, I just had one little memory that always suddenly come to me is that we're in this river and it was like really weird weather. And it had been really hot, but then it got really cloudy. And I was in the river and the kids were there and people were like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain soon or whatever. And my son and daughter were by the side of the water and I found like there was a dead fish in the water, like quite a big one. So I got my flip-flop and I held the fish up, right, into the air. And I just did this. I think Lion King was the big deal at that point, right? So I did that kind of, oh, the wind, that kind of that sound. And then just as I did that, there was this massive lightning that just went. And the kids' faces were like, Dad is a god. It was like... It was hilarious. My son was thinking, oh my goodness, my dad owns, exactly. He's held the fish up to the sky and the gods have replied. It was like, wow. And I didn't say, no, it just was coincidence. I was like, yes, you need to remember that, son.
I wonder if your kids have ever tried to reenact that.
Just holding a fish up. So I've not quite got it yet. I've not got my dad's powers.
Just let them believe.
Exactly.
There's a difference between lying and withholding.
Exactly. That is true.
I want to ask you a question, Mark. Cast your mind back. I want to say 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen you before. I've seen you perform. Do you perform in a church?
I mean, let's say we do, yes.
I think you performed.
Oh, yeah.
And it must have been, I must say 15 years. And you told a story about a hamster. And I think that's a brilliant story because I can remember it. Please, can you share the hamster story with our listeners?
Is it the one with Kezia, my daughter? Was it that one?
Yeah.
So basically...
Wait, hang on a second.
Hold on, how many hamster stories have you got?
There's always... Everybody that...
You made it sound like there's more than one.
There's always more than one hamster story. I mean, no man goes out the house with only one hamster story. I'm not an animal. So basically... I don't know where that came from. But basically, when we had a hamster and our kid, like Kezia was little... Kezia was terrified of this hamster and we were trying to help her to kind of get confident with it. So Kezia was really, really little and she basically put the hamster, at times they put the hamster in her hand and the hamster started to run up her arm and Kezia, my daughter, just freaked out and she just threw her arm down and the hamster hit the ground and Kezia, in shrieking, she stepped on the hamster. And so Tamlin just was freaking out. So we had to drive this hamster to the vet. And it was an absolute nightmare. And honestly, I promise you, the hamster got put on a little ventilating thing, the tubes, honestly, and everything. I'm Scottish, right? The hamster cost us £3. And this vet is costing us more than...
I was thinking that. How much does it cost?
What's the call-out fee for a vet for a hamster? It's more than £3. Anyway, he had it for 2 weeks, and then when we got back, he says, well, I've saved the hamster. So he'd saved it. But basically, this hamster's breathing. So it used to breathe and if you went down at night to get something from the fridge, just these little red eyes and this... Honestly, Star Wars was a big deal at that time, and we were like... I am your father. It's whoa! She's the hamster. He's wow.
You have no money.
Exactly. But it did cost me £50. And I'm Scottish.
£50?
Yeah.
Scottish?
Yeah, I'm Scottish, so £50. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
I was going to say, you batter them and eat them.
Wow. That's going to have to be edited out, surely. All the hamster lovers are going to be getting in touch. That is horrendous. I thought you battered and eaten. I mean, Scottish people are going to be phoning up. They're going to be in this.
Face the wrath of the Scots. That's not a people group I want to upset.
That you do not want to do that. That is funny. Have you got pets, or is pets just is that a...
My wife is allergic to everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
she loves all animals, but she looks like Rocky Balboa after she's touched one.
Oh, so that
no.
that's cool. And what about you? Are you?
This is going to make me sound very middle class,
right,
and old. We've got a pond.
Too right.
Wow, there's so many questions. You do know a pond's not an animal, right?
It's holding up my pond. So we bought this house last year,
right?
And the couple before, they put in a pond and they've got fish.
Yeah.
And so we were like, don't want to be dealing with the fish.
Did the fish come with the house?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had to pay extra.
Yeah.
And it was so the fish are there. We said we'll drain it. We'll drain the pond. We'll make it a sand pit. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, our little boy loves the fish. He loves feeding them. He loves throwing stones at them. He loves it. So I'm thinking, when they start to die off, one by one, we'll get rid of the pond. I bumped into the previous owner.
Oh.
And I said, how are you doing? He's like, yeah, he's a lovely man. Really nice guy. He said, how are you finding the pond? I was like, great. Thanks. He goes, have they started breeding yet?
Oh, no.
I said, what? He said, the fish breed. You'll get more every year. So we've lost one fish. We've gained.
It's like, I know it's basic like biology, but that just blew my mind.
I love that we're sort of, whoa, reproduction, what is that?
But you never think that your pet goldfish are going to reproduce, do you?
Flipping heck, man. You've got them for the rest of your life.
So now to answer your question, yes.
Yes, I
I've
do.
got some fish.
That has made me happy. But I did want to ask you, I guess, I wonder if it's still a bit too young for you guys to think about this, but when you think about your values and kind of have an opportunity to communicate your values to your kids, I mean, you're probably still thinking, I just want to get through a day without a nappy stuck to my face. So, I'm not really that bothered about values. I
just want my fingernails to stay clean.
That's all I care about. But no, it's interesting because we really we are Christians, right? And we really wanted to kind of that God was a really central part. We wanted it to be a living relationship and stuff. And then it's a really great challenge to think about. Well, that's a value that's really important to me, and I want my kids to know how important it is to me. And other than then just every Sunday sticking them into the car and we're off to church, but through the week. So we did this thing where we're no, we want to have this living relationship with God. So when the kids were really little, we got this prayer tent. So we got this indoor tent. And I think I'm a bit obsessed by Bonanza. And a prayer Bonanza. This was not a fight Bonanza. This is a prayer Bonanza. And we were able to move this tent up to different rooms. We didn't do every room. There was no praying in the bathroom, but we did put it into the loft and into the bedrooms and stuff. And then all of us would get in, and it was a really small kind of tent thing, and it was it was too small, but that was all part of it. And then we would pray, and each one of us had to have a shot of praying. And it's really fascinating that now, lots of years later, it's those are the kind of things where the kids are that was values that we held dear. We were able to communicate them to our kids, and now we're seeing them live those values out. And I think it's just having in mind, in amongst everything else that's going on, is how can I communicate my values to my kid? How can I I want my child to know that this is really important to us, and that this is kind of it's kind of weird language, but this is the culture of our family. This is how we do stuff. We had a really strong laughing culture, so we wanted to round the dinner table. It's everyone's got a laugh. It's it was more important to us to kind of be laughing than it was to some people. It's don't speak with your mouth full. That's really important to them. We were no, if you're laughing, you can speak with your mouth full. It's fine. And I think it's just all that time having this thing in your mind is, what is it you guys want to create? What is it you want your kids to grow up thinking? That is really important to us. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great question.
No, absolutely. And I think it's something that I actually see quite often, because especially when your kids are young, you're just scrambling to make it through. But as soon as they start to sleep a bit more, hopefully, you start asking those questions of like, what do I want them to be? And that really does, in our house, that sparks conversations of like how we parent, and like we brought in like a little prayer time before bed and like all those little routines. But even things of like resilience and how we respond to certain situations, and allowing my 2-year-old daughter to be more exposed to stuff like the world isn't perfect.
Sure.
Just to instill some of those values. And I think there's a lot of people kind of asking those questions now of how do we be a little bit more mindful about how do we raise our kids?
Exactly.
Because, I mean, post all of whatever happened in the last kind of 3 years, everyone's kind of gone, oh no.
Yeah.
But it's give us space to think.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's actually think about this. And some things that were important to me a few years ago are no longer that important. But actually, some of the values that I have from my parents are still like getting me through life.
100%. And it's funny how like you do suddenly like, oh, remember those moments when your dad did that thing with you or your mum did that. And it's like, wow, this is what we're writing now. You know, we're like writing these moments, and your kid's going to be one day thinking, oh yeah, I do remember when dad did that. And it not just being about sort of whatever your value is, making sure you really stick to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, there's always that thing as well of, I don't just want them to believe what I believe. I want them to believe what they believe and find that for themselves.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So I love, my dad's here now, he's decorating. I love having little disagreements with my dad about faith and stuff. So it's not just whatever you told me, I'll regurgitate that. But it's actually, I've got those core beliefs, but I've also got my own beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's something that, probably for the future, because our kids are a bit little. They're only 1.5 and 3.5.
Yeah.
Debating about Aristotle.
Yeah.
Just trying to like read a little bit of Shakespeare to them before they go to sleep.
But yeah, that's something. I want to give them that platform.
Yeah.
To find their own faith.
Sure.
And their own journey.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I even think about like my own relationship with my dad. Like now, that's one of the things I value most of. The humility and going, you're welcome to challenge, and it's not. It just has to be this way. There, it's a very weird feeling to have conversations with your parents who used to think were superheroes, now going, actually, tell me what you think. That's really bizarre.
Yeah,
that's something I want to replicate with my kids. Yeah. Maybe not now. Like my daughter's trying it too. Like it's a bit too early. Just do what I say.
Exactly.
But like down the road, I want that to be just very open in that sort of relationship.
Is it okay for your kid to say, I mean, is it ever okay for a parent just to go, because I said, or is that, you already?
Yeah.
Because I said
and
so.
I just crumpled. I think I remember sending you a video. I was walking. I was just like, because I said so. And I just thought, you've gone there. He wasn't even like 2 at the time.
Oh, wow.
Gone early.
Wow, you've gone very early on that. When you're 16, you'll have nothing left. You're like, because I've
played my hand. I've shown my cards.
Absolutely have.
The thing that comes to mind for me when we're talking about this is when I was in year 2.
Wow.
I was in purple class.
Oh, okay.
I had a debate with someone. His name was Ryan Bradley.
Oh, wow. Let's hope he's not. Ryan, if you're out there.
Shout out, Ryan. We're still in touch.
Oh, good.
And he told me that his mum and dad made him.
Right.
I said, God made you.
Right. Wow.
He said, well, no, my mum and dad. I was like, no. God made you.
Yeah.
I hadn't had that talk yet with my parents. So we agreed. The teacher, Mrs. Parker, shout out Mrs. Parker, Purple Parker. If she stepped in and said, look, God created you.
Yeah.
Ryan's mum and dad made him. And that's how we settled the debate.
I love that.
But it was that just regurgitating what my parents told me. God made you, he loved you, and that's what I was telling everybody. Yeah. Which is nice when you think about it like that.
Because let's be honest, no one wants to think that their mum and dad.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, let's not go there.
I was also spreading misinformation. when I turned 14, I thought, he was right this whole time.
That's brilliant.
Oh, amazing. Mark, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I've loved it. You guys are a blast. Yeah.
Have you got for the listener, anywhere that people can watch some of your stuff? or interact with some of your comedy and that sort of stuff?
If you go on markritchie.com, there's a whole load of my stuff there. And I'm doing a show at the moment called Mark Ritchie, Too Close for Comfort, which is very much like people are enjoying that. So, I'm touring it around. I'm getting a chance to go to Australia and tour it there. And yeah. So, life's good. Things are good. And if you go on there, markritchie.com, it's good.
Oh, amazing.
Superb. Mark, we always ask our guests for one nugget of wisdom before they leave. Drop a nugget on us.
I mean, I'm trying to think. He's like, always wear like a cricket box before you do a fight bonanza. Is that a good little? Is that a golden nugget? It's
a great one. One for the mums.
I think just on that thing about the values, it's really good to kind of communicate your values in fun and creative ways, but get it out there. This is what we're about and for, yeah.
Superb. Mark, thank you so much for coming on.
It's been fun.
To Mark Ritchie. Do you know what, Jace? Enjoyed that so much.
Oh, it was full of wisdom, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I know I said that before, but he actually was.
Do you know what I actually love is seeing people like live out their dreams.
Yeah.
For him to be like, I was a 15-year-old thinking one day I'll be on that stage. And for him to be doing it.
Yeah, that is mad. And do you know what? I just remembered this. When I was 11, how many is that? 17 years ago, I saw Mark like speaking at a youth event at, do you remember something arena in Birmingham?
NEC.
The NEC
I
arena.
was there.
Were you there?
Yeah. I wasn't 11. I was a bit older.
There was a lot of people there. And I remember being 11, watching him do his thing. And he's very good. He's like one of the best communicators in that kind of sphere. And I remember going, I want to do that one day, like communicate what I think is important, but in a normal way.
Yeah.
So he kind of inspired me in that way.
Well, the fact that I remembered the Hamster Story from that event, I want to say 2007?
That's somewhere along those regions.
2008, something like that. So yeah, it was very good. I absolutely loved. I don't know how you felt about this being a girl dad, but when he was talking about walking his daughter down the aisle, I just thought like that's going to be such a bittersweet moment, I guess, like giving your girl away, but also like he worded it, she's got a different superhero now.
Yeah, that hit me.
And I was just like, oh, my girl, like she's only 1.5, but like I just thought, that must be a really weird moment.
Yeah, and I think one thing I loved, like he does a podcast with his son, and like that's one thing. Not to do a podcast with my daughter when she's older, but just have that level of relationship where it's like we can hang out and we can still be really tight.
Yeah,
and that's something that I definitely like aim for in my life.
Yeah,
my kids to still like me when they're older.
Well, recently I had to win my son's affection back.
Oh no,
because I wasn't his best friend anymore, and he was telling me this. So I had
rubbing it in. Yeah,
he was just telling me flat out, like, "No, you're not my friend anymore." I don't know what I did, but did something, and I had a day off, and I was going to. Didn't tell my wife I had a day off.
Oh,
I had to use a day of annual leave.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that it fell on this day. I didn't plan it. There was no other day I could have taken, and I took him to nursery, and they went, "Oh, he's not in today."
Oh, you text me about this?
Yep. I had it all planned out. I was going to go to the cinema, but then I thought, actually, I can win him back. So I took him to a trampoline park, and we took our kids to a trampoline park today. You can see a video on Instagram that I did. They had a great time. This was Monday, so if you want to go back and watch it, you can. So me and him went to this trampoline park on our own, and he was bouncing, and he went, "This makes me feel so happy."
Oh.
And I was like, it's working. And then he told me that he had the best day, and that I was the best daddy.
So you're back in.
I'm back in. We're best friends again.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I had to tell him off this morning. And after it, I went, "Are we still best friends?" And he said, "Yeah." I was buzzing.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Mark, again, for coming on the podcast.
Oh, it's great.
Really enjoyed that. Again, if you want to check out any of his stuff, he's got a bunch of videos on YouTube as well.
Yep. Check him out.
Mark Ritchie, not related to Richie Rich.
No. Or Lionel Richie.
Oh, that's a better reference. Hello and goodbye. What has happened there?